Wind could carry wooden sailing ships across the seas, an ally of sorts. However, it also had the power to destroy them. While the salvage team waited out this particular storm, breakthroughs were still being made on land. To determine what caused the ancient ship to sink, a research team from East China Normal University was commissioned to study the sedimentary environment of the site. After obtaining sediment cores more than 13 meters long from the wreck area, they conducted multiple analyses, including those of sedimentary structure, grain size, stable carbon isotopes, and optically stimulated luminescence dating.
最重要的一个目标就是沉船的环境，它是沉没在一个什么样的环境里的，然后去推测它就沉没可能的原因。可以确定的就是说，它沉没的时候，当时长江口这个北港还没有冲开，是以一个涨潮流为主的这样的一个环境。
Today, the Yangtze River Estuary has a dual channel system. The North Channel was not fully navigable 150 years ago. Ships could only enter the sea via the main South Channel. What caused the ancient Yangtze River Estuary No. 2 ship to sink in the shallow waters of the North Channel?
在这么一个水动力很弱的一个环境里，它怎么会沉没了呢？首先就是这些力度分析结果，就是粘土和粉砂，它都是比较细颗粒的，然后这些黄色的就是那个沙是粗的嘛，这就是沉船的那个地层嘛。然后在这个接触面上，你看这个沙就一下子变多了。
Researchers found an important clue. The strata at the shipwreck site contained a distinct coarse sand layer. This differs from the uniform fine-grained deposits formed by normal tidal action, a characteristic of storm deposits. More importantly, a previous Fudan University team detected moth and mosquito DNA in the ship's sediment. This suggests that the vessel sunk in late spring or early summer, peak typhoon season in the Yangtze River Estuary.
地方志里有一些记录的，那个正好同治年间的话，还正好台风事件特别频繁，并且呢，它这个记录里面也有讲到有沉船啊、冲决口啊，这些都有记录。
Through all this evidence, a tragedy from over 150 years ago finally comes to light. A merchant ship full of hope was struck by a sudden typhoon, now resting beneath the waves at the Yangtze River Estuary. With the typhoon now over, the Dali could accurately relocate the Yangtze River Estuary No. 2 shipwreck site. Installation of the arched beams officially began. The crew placed the first arched beam onto the launching frame to then be lowered to the seabed and connected to the longitudinal beam framework. The tail propulsion device would drive the shield machine's tunnel boring head forward to complete seabed penetration. This shield system was specially developed for the unique conditions of the Yangtze River Estuary. As slack tide approached, the crane slowly lifted the massive launching frame, rotating it to a vertical position mid-air. It was then precisely aligned to the designated location. Although the insertion of the arched beams relied mainly on automated equipment, successfully lowering a 220-ton giant to the seabed and aligning it precisely with the longitudinal beam framework required guidance from divers. To ensure safety, they could only dive during brief periods with stable currents.
郭总，你这边摸好了吗？你指挥吊机啊。
好的，来，谢谢，慢慢起钩。对，慢慢起钩。
人全部让开，人让开了，告诉我准备插销了。机尾侧先插。
机尾好了，应该到位了，早点开一下。
好的，那你弄机头好了，推机头好了。
好的，2个都到位了。
好的，好的，上来，上来。
With the assistance of divers, the launching frame was successfully connected.
潜水员出水了啊！
重新跳，所以它会跳跃尾低。
No one expected the arched beam to malfunction before it even got started.
我都开始转了。
还跳，还是跳。
后续还跳。
因为我们是所有电气系统是一用一备的，我们是用的不是以前等比例实验的，就是新的那套系统，还有一定的电流的冲突，所以是一直在报警。
After some troubleshooting through the night, the communication system anomaly was eventually resolved. Yet another challenge soon emerged as the tide continued to rise. The electrical valve assembly atop the launching frame was at risk of being submerged.
我们的江底离江面预定的话是7米，但是实际上受天文大潮的影响，它达到了8米，所以我们只能把我们的筏组老早在8米的位置，现在的话往上抬到9米。
To ensure absolute safety, the launching frame had to be lifted for upgrades and modifications. The engineering team worked tirelessly around the clock. The hardest part is always getting started, and it felt like the entire process had been reset. At 2:30 a.m. on September 29th, the launching frame was successfully and safely reconnected.
你开你的，我开我的，没事的，开31%。
不对。推进已到位，请潜水员摸一下，应该是距离是蛮接近的了，应该潜水员可以摸一下了。
Before 9 a.m., the first arched beam was successfully installed. The construction team lifted the launching frame from the water. As dusk fell, and again with the help of divers, the tunnel boring head components were successfully recovered to the deck. Unfortunately, while clearing silt from the mud discharge hole, an accident occurred.
老大，有什么固固的东西绞进去了，怪不得有可能堵住。里面还有，这里都有，你看这个和这边都有。下面呢？这边。
我们打捞的是一个木质沉船。 我们也会感觉到，就是怎么说呢？是否我们跟我们预定的目标不一样？是否碰到了沉船？
哦哟，反正也亏啊。
The discovery raised everyone's heart rate. The tension in the air was palpable.
不对呀，生都不会这样子的呀。
一群人在那儿。 看，就是开始分析，抓着打捞局的工程师，他不是有个轨迹的吗？然后轨迹根据我们之前探摸情况，船体大概是在多少深度，它距离那个弧形各个角度有多少距离，就是那天也一直就是算。卡住
了，这个反正是100最底下，最底下这个底下里，
我挖的没这么深。
不，这个地方你挖不到。 我们抄底的，最抄底的。
According to the engineering design, a 2-meter safety clearance zone was maintained between the arched beam and the shipwreck. In theory, the risk of causing damage during tunneling was extremely low. So, where had this wood-like blockage come from? The question puzzled the archaeologists. As the divers couldn't conduct a thorough inspection, the wooden samples were sent to the laboratory for identification. Were they connected to the wreck?
你要判断它是不是漂浮状态的，还是说它是船体的一部分。我们要排除的，它只要不是船体的一部分就可以了。
我们回顾了一些，检查一下，应该不是木质沉船，应该是就像的是在江底这种飘来飘去的一些沉积的一些木材。
As early as 2019, the salvage team discovered a broken mast near the wreck. Measuring over 9 meters, the exceptionally durable wood was identified through laboratory analysis as high-quality sal timber from Southeast Asia. This suggests that the Yangtze River Estuary No. 2 ancient ship was either built in a Southeast Asian shipyard or constructed in China using imported timber. This is the first fully intact ceramic item recovered from the Yangtze River Estuary No. 2 in 2016. It's a typical Vietnamese jar-shaped water pipe. As the only piece of its kind found to date, archaeologists believe it was likely a personal item belonging to a crew member. Perhaps Southeast Asian sailors did once serve on this vessel. The exchange of goods across rivers and seas, imbued with the pulse of daily life, made Shanghai one of the most vibrant global trade hubs of its time. Today, complete Qing Dynasty sand ships are exceedingly rare. All eyes were on the Yangtze River Estuary No. 2, eagerly awaiting the big reveal. This historic salvage operation captured widespread attention as every step was closely monitored. However, after the first arched beam was successfully placed, subsequent progress was not as smooth as expected.
好，看着点，我今天有点看不清啊。好的。130。
Harsh weather repeatedly disrupted progress, while technical challenges continued to emerge. As the installation of arched beams gradually advanced, new problems arose. 这个管接跟这个上下错位的，左右也错。The relative position between the arched beams and the longitudinal beams gradually deviated from the design specifications, preventing proper installation of the pins. More alarmingly, underwater measurements showed that pressure from surrounding sediment was forcing the entire arched beam structure outward, forming a flared trumpet-like shape.
弧形梁它那个削孔的直径只比我们削的大了就2-3公分左右，所以说这个精准度要特别高。 就往左偏一点，往右偏一点，或者往上往下偏一点，有可能就插不进。
The salvage team acted swiftly. They custom designed and assembled hydraulic jacks to insert between the arched beams locking mechanisms to gradually realign them. Shims were also added to the propulsion system to ensure precise beam positioning.
自攻每一根弧形梁。 我们都要想办法去弥补前面的误差，所有的东西现场永远比我们预料的要复杂。
From late summer to mid-autumn, 21 of the 22 arched beams were successfully installed. Only the final one remained. As anticipated, accumulated deviations made the installation of the last beam extremely challenging.
它一开始就是有点外八，上面窄，下面大。22个梁，我们也考虑到整个重量会下垂，但是没想到会下垂的这么厉害。
After repeated calculations and modeling analyses, the on-site team decided to retain the locking mechanism on only one side of the final arched beam. Multiple sealing solutions were also devised to address potential gaps, ensuring the structure's overall safety and stability.
考虑到工程的风险，宁可要一个全焊的美，也不要一个碎的花瓶。
1号点动，继续。
1号导板正转，2号导板反转。
To prevent debris from clogging the slurry pumps, grills were installed over the inlet and outlet openings.
1号填，2号填，好的，销售结束，等待起吊。
At 4 p.m. on November 14th, 2022, with the final arched beam launching frame precisely in place, insertion officially began. Initially, progress was smooth. The rotating cutter heads efficiently broke through the soil and the slurry pumps discharged normally, indicating that the cutting system at the front of the arched beam was functioning properly. Yet, when the beam reached an inclination of about 20 degrees, abnormal discharge was observed from the pump outlet.
把那个鼓起来收起来，然后潜水员下去探摸。当时底下有几个墩带，我们保护的那个墩带，当时被泥沙全部埋掉了。这个如果是不清理，后续这个后果就是不敢想象了。
因为它的这个墩带里面上面有2根绳子，它可以吊起这么几吨重的一些沙子，所以上面这个吊带这个力量还是蛮大的，很容易缠击这个刀盘。
These obstructive bulk bags had been installed to protect the ancient ship below. Made of high-strength fiber and filled with sand, they had been stacked around the wreck. Clearance had been done before salvage operations began, but many bags remained deeply buried in the riverbed sediment. By midnight, the operation had once again reached an impasse.
整个灯带可能全部在上面，上来。
上来，我改刀盘。既然我们打到这个角度上，里面还有墩带的。
To fully remove the obstruction caused by these bulk bags, the Shanghai Tunnel engineering team proposed a cutterhead modification plan. Bringing equipment back to the deck for modification would be very time-consuming.
我先放下去，你再推到这个角度看看，如果不行再收上来。可以。
Facing a test of efficiency and safety, Hu Jian decided to proceed while preparing contingency plans, ultimately hoping for a breakthrough.
谢谢朋友。
往长头回。之前那个嘛，先往长头回，我先不急。
薄片。来，20。20。我这都试了。
From late night into early morning and on to noon, eventually uplifting news arrived.
互对，推进结束，角度166.9，到位。
After nearly 2 months of almost non-stop work at sea, 22 arched beams were finally assembled into a massive caisson. The ancient ship was fully enclosed, along with its original archaeological deposits. A time capsule holding layers of history was about to rise from the water and begin its journey home. To safely lift the ancient ship from the seabed, the Shanghai Salvage custom-built a specialized salvage vessel called Fenli. 130 meters long and 34 meters wide, it came equipped with 46 hydraulic lifting systems with a total lifting capacity exceeding 17,500 tons. Like precise mechanical hands, these systems operate in perfect synchronization under computer control, embracing the ancient ship all the way from the seabed to the moon pool at the center of the vessel.
分离轮主要是做提升的事情、运输的事情和安放的事情，把我原本需要几条船做的事情来一块来做掉，特别是它提升的过程。原本我们提升是要2条船来做这个提升工作，放到1条船上，它们之间的运动就不会差距太大。
On November 18th, 2022, the Fenley was positioned precisely above the ancient ship. Operations proceeding without issue relied on calm seas and favorable weather. At 8 p.m. on November 20th, sea conditions met requirements. As 1,426 steel strands firmly secured the caisson to the Fenley, the lifting operation officially began. Everyone was gripped by anticipation as a historic breakthrough in China's underwater archaeology neared. In the early hours of November 21st, the long-awaited moment arrived. At 12:30 a.m., the ship's mast broke the surface. At 3:30 a.m., after 7.5 hours of continuous work, the 8,800-ton caisson holding the ancient ship was fully lifted from the water. After over 150 years of rest, the merchant vessel felt the sea breeze once again, cradled in the arms of the Fenley. At dawn on November 25th, escorted by tugboats, the Fenley slowly entered Wusongkou port. Through the first gateway to the Yangtze River, it carried the No. 2 ancient shipwreck. China's first navigational lighthouse stood quietly nearby. Having witnessed countless vessels come and go, it now watched the homecoming of a ship that had set sail centuries ago. Today, Shanghai, as China's international shipping hub, shines with renewed vitality in the modern era. This century-old dock on Shanghai's Yangpu district waterfront was refilled, patiently awaiting its new resident. Passing through the floodgate, the long-anticipated caisson settled safely into its new home. This site will become the Shanghai Museum North, housing the salvaged Yangtze River Estuary No. 2 shipwreck. Here, future archaeologists can continue to explore the mysteries of the ancient vessel in this dock.